Today's section is for everyone who has a living parent or knows an elderly person who is who has no children to take care of them. As we will read, if the person or the people have no children of their own, it's the church's job to take care of those elderly people. Let's go into our chapter 59, The Adventist Home, a life-changing book if we allow it to change our lives, and if we ask God to change us as well, change our tastes, our desires, it will change our lives. All right, the aged parents. The obligation resting upon children to honor their parents is of lifelong duration. If the parents are feeble and old, the affection and attention of the children should be bestowed in proportion to the need of the father and mother. Nobly, decidedly, the children should shape their course of action, even if it requires self-denial, so that every thought of anxiety and perplexity may be removed from the minds of the parents. I have a mother, stepmom-in-law, who is this I just feel sorry for her. We were discussing yesterday, Friday, yes. We were talking about how we can't stand being so sick and we don't want to live long. I just wish I could take her pain away. The one other person, the only other person who's been kind and loving and caring, phoning just to find out how I am, not to get things from me, was an aunt of mine who passed away also. Same thing. She had problems with her bones and she was tired. It hurts because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to wish God would kill me. And I'm only 44. I don't know. I don't know how they live so long in that pain. And my mom was telling me the same thing that I've heard. Oh, you look so good. You look so good though. And I hate it because I'm faking it. I'm not going to walk around like, whoa, 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 whoa. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't take the pain away. It doesn't help me. No one will feel extra sympathy. They know. So they should be sympathetic because they know it's an incurable disease, just like her condition is also incurable. But most importantly, it's the underlying message is because you look so good, we expect you to do more than your body allows you to do. And this is what my mother is feeling. They're telling her she's strong. And she was saying, well, whether you're a coward or strong, pain is pain. Even a coward or weakling will deal with it the same way. You just go through it. It's every day. Imagine having the flu, a bad flu, every single day. That's what AS is like. And I'm sure that's what her gout is like as well. She's got gout. And I just wish I could make life easier for her. And she has loving children who love her. They are like this. They are returning the love she's given them 100-fold. It is such a blessing to see the relationship we have and they have with her. And it's exactly what God would want for the people, the children, to be heartbroken on behalf of the mother, to want to make life easier for them. Decidedly, even if there's sacrifice, we give. Even if there's sacrifice. I'll come back to that soon. All my mom's children have children, but the way they spoil her, even when she feels fine, when my one sister-in-law got back from work and my mother had washed things, she was furious at her. I'm thinking of the word sacrifice. After work, you want to relax, but she was thinking, when I get home, I'm going to do mom's washing. But she'd done it already. That's what we should be aiming for, wanting to get home, to make life easier, to take away the chores that our elderly parents want to do themselves and shouldn't be doing. Children should be educated to love and care tenderly for father and mother. Care for them, children, yourselves, for no other hand can do the little acts of kindness with the acceptance that you can do them. Improve your precious opportunity to scatter seeds of kindness. Before I got sick, this was my dream. Before things fell pear-shaped with my own parents, I thought every Sunday I will cook for my family, my parents, and we'll all go down and spend time with them. I had these dreams of nurturing them, taking them out to the seaside, even in their wheelchairs. I mean, obviously, things didn't work out that way, but those are the dreams you should have, to care tenderly for them. Don't just give them grocery. If they are not the kind who are going to be telling your children you're doing wrong, take them with you. Help them to spend time with your children, not only in the house. There are quite a lot of places that are wheelchair accessible these days. Of course, if there's no vehicle and one can't be hired, it's another story. But this is, of course, this is based on those who, or talking to those who could, if they wanted to, not those who can't, because the circumstances don't allow. Just go for a walk with them. Find a nice quiet suburb and go for a walk. There are parts of some gardens that have wheelchairs. Take them for a walk. They will appreciate it. It's good to have a change of scenery, even for the elderly who are so tired and old. Do it. That's one idea. Something you can do. Care for them. And okay, act of kindness. The world, unfortunately, not all children are loving. In the same way we know not all parents are loving, not all children are loving. I've assisted my mother. I assisted my mother as well as I could with my bad back that shouldn't be lifting even my own children. So there I was trying to lift my mother, and one of my siblings was pulling out her incontinence diaper. And it was, like baby diapers, they have the sticky thing. It was stuck on her skin and it's plastic, and she just ripped it from under her. And I just heard my poor mother saying, "You're hurting me. Why are you always hurting me?" And this is someone who is healthier, able-bodied, and much closer than I was, and doesn't have all the responsibilities I have. For a mother to have to tell their own child, "You're hurting me," never be that child, please. And if you do know of a situation like that, step in. Please step in and be the surrogate child for that woman or man as much as you can. Be a blessing to any elderly person around you, I beg you. Our obligation to our parents never ceases. Our love for them and theirs for us is not measured by years or distance, and our responsibility can never be set aside. We always vowed from the beginning of time, every part of our budget will always go to both sets of parents, or 3 sets of parents, always. No matter what they're like, no matter how they act, they will get the money, even if they're far away. And in some cases in richer countries, look, in Europe, and we're in Africa, but we do our best and our bit together with the other children. Do that. Help them as much as you can, especially when they are aged and therefore can't be going out to work. They've got no other source of income, and we know, especially in Africa, there is no welfare system for the aged that allows them food and the clothing and the undergarments they need. They have to get it from us. Maybe these next generations will have been allowed to get all sorts of jobs. It will be easier. The pension will be higher. But for now, our parents, your grandparents, they need everything you can give them, even if you're in a distant land. Send what you can. It is a love letter. Let children carefully remember that at the best, the aged parents have but little joy and comfort. Again, I think of my mom. She's so painful. She's so in pain that she said she's just ruins. She's just a bag of ruins. What joy is there? She can't go out into the garden where she loved to go and pick peaches and, tidy up the garden. She can't do that. When she tries to wash clothes by hand, her other daughter, thank God for her, yells at her, "Why did you do that? You should have waited for me to come back from work." They love her. It's beautiful. But she wants to be active Most sick people want to do more. And so to have that stripped of them and instead needing to be cared for, relying, many of them, like gout and other situations and conditions, on medication, which also has its negative side effects, they have but little comfort. We need to provide that comfort. What can bring greater sorrow to their hearts than manifest neglect on the part of their children? What sin can be worse in children than to bring grief to an aged, helpless father or mother? People, the people around, the community around, told me a year before either of my parents passed away to stop, to just stop. Because they had enough, so I shouldn't have been giving anyway. But the abuse that was heaped upon me was too much. The lies that they would hear being told to other church people, they were excessive. They were saying, they're using you, giving your grocery to other people. Stop. But God says, continue. They died knowing that even though this happened, I still loved them. And people who had lived in the house for over a month solid, and again over a wee holiday period, they could see it and they knew it. And that's why they could say, we're so sorry. I'm so sorry about the death of your mom. I know how much you loved her, even though she didn't love you. I pray that God will have seen my heart and that what she saw is really what God has seen and what he wrote down, because now they're both gone. I can't add on. I can't do more now. It's too late. And I don't want any of you to have that regret. Do what you can now, even if they are unkind, cruel. But don't, of course, let your children feel that. But give what you can. Give the help you can. Buy the comfortable slippers, even if they don't ask for them. Buy them, even though they will turn around and tell someone else, oh, these slippers are ugly. Buy it because of love. Buy it because of God. God gave us his son, and the majority of us have spurned his love. So what? He died on the cross? I don't care. I'm going to keep living for myself. Be like Christ, even if your parent is also as unkind as an enemy could ever be. Even if, like, there were some times where people would say, why does she act like she didn't give birth to you, like you're some stranger? It is painful. Loving when it hurts, it is painful, but do it because it's more than about you and your parent or parents. It's about you and God as well. Be so kind, so loving, that, like a cousin of mine who asked me the question, you will also be asked, did your parent ever apologize to you for how they've treated you and the things they've said, despite how much you've loved them? Unfortunately, we can't pretend that all parents are loving and kind. I do know of some loving, wonderful mothers, but I also do know of some terrible mothers out there too. So we have to be sincere and honest and open that some parents are not easy to love, but we act it anyway. So we give anyway, and we try to keep them comfortable together with the aid of everybody else anyway. There is no time when children should withhold respect and love from their father and mother. There was a day, as you know, most of you, I'm not well. I'm seriously not well. The level of fatigue, they say, researchers say that you as a healthy person, you would only be able to understand the level of fatigue with ankylosing spondylitis if you stayed awake for 2 solid days and then had to work. You had to sit at your desk having not slept for 2 days. That is the level of fatigue we are in every single day. So there you go, you're visiting your parents, you're bringing them things they don't need as a gift. And this other thing, do it even though they don't need it. Do it as an extra. Giving them as a gift. I notice my mother's bedding has not been washed. And there are people living there who are young and able-bodied. So I take it, and my dad says to me, he didn't say thank you so much for making the effort to pick that all up and take it to your house and then have to come back. He says to me, and don't forget to take the other person's washing as well. A person who's healthy, who is very close by there, and finishes work before 4 o'clock. It was a crazy level of, do you not see me? Do you not care? But I didn't retaliate. I've seen my other siblings, they yell at my dad, and it's pointless. My dad is or was extremely sure of himself. Yelling wouldn't change anything. So like a good Christian, you'd keep quiet. You turn the other cheek metaphorically by not responding. Of course, you don't do you don't do anything that will harm you. If you're sick, you're not going to help someone else to be lazy, firstly. Never help someone to be entitled. God needs us all to be hard workers. But secondly, that load was already heavy on me. It was already going to be our water, our soap, even though we are giving soap and water and electricity there. So don't you let yourself be, taken for granted when you're helping. Don't help so much that you're helping in the wrong direction, so that you are enabling entitlement. Christ does not spoil us. He gives us what we need. So yeah, think about that as well. Even if you might then be told you're not loving, make sure that what you are doing is necessary for their needs and their comfort. Well, with this shut down, I don't know why. Let me try again. All right. While the parents live, it should be the children's joy to honor and respect them. And because we've been taught to honor and respect them, it takes most of us ages to realize that it was one-sided. But we still do it anyway. They should bring all the cheerfulness and sunshine into the life of the aged parents that they possibly can. We visited an old age home. It was another one of my dreams. I used to wish that I could go to hospitals, go to old age homes after I finished homeschooling my children, and go and be a ray of sunshine to people. So I joined a church group, and in the afternoon we went. It was only a few of us who wanted to go to an old age home very nearby, close to the church. It was so sorry. Where were the visitors? Where were their family? It's a weekend. Most of those people were in wheelchairs. Were they alone? No loved ones at all? No friends? Or had they been dumped there and then the children are like, oh, well, now we can go and have our fun and forget them. They seemed forgotten. It didn't seem like they got visitors. It's not like the children said, here, let me buy you a new gown. So you could tell that they were being loved. And it was a government old age home, so the smell of urine was terrible. The wheelchairs were tattered and they looked starved. They really looked starved of love and attention. Please let that not be your parents. And that is why later on God gives the plan. So we'll talk about that later. But yes, do not let them be lacking in sunshine. Is it possible that children can become so dead to the claims of father and mother that they will not willingly remove all causes of sorrow in their power, watching over them with unwearying care and devotion? Again, this can backfire on you. It's not only happened in my family, but in another family of a person who's also Adventist, where this time was with their aunt, not her actual parents. The drug addict is the one who is loved and revered by the parents. And so you're never allowed to say, you are a drug addict, stop stealing from our aged parents. So you want to remove all causes of sorrow, the stealing, the lying, the drug taking. But sometimes your parents don't allow that. Just know, or do try your best to intervene as much as you can. When we couldn't intervene, my parents' friends couldn't intervene, we even got social workers to try and intervene. Let God record that you did your best to remove all cause of sorrow. Can it be possible that they will not regard it a pleasure to make the last days of their parents their best days? I used to think we'll be rich enough to have a granny flat, and then we'd put our parents in there where they're away from the noise of the children, but at least they're with us. They're close by. I don't know, I'd be sick and myself needing care, and I've got no space for that. But that was my dream. Of course, my parents didn't want to leave their home, so that's another issue. Sometimes you have to go along with the wishes of your parents, even though their wishes hurt them and harm them. That's also part of respecting them. Respecting their wishes, even though you can see they are harmful. So, this is now the old age home thing. How can a son or daughter be willing to leave father or mother on the hands of strangers for them to care for? Even were the mother an unbeliever and disagreeable, it would not release the child from the obligation that God has placed upon him to care for his parent. Some of my siblings are old. Some of my siblings are sick. I'm too sick. But we have one healthy one, and we were supporting. The one who's elderly himself and not in the city would come, take my father to the doctor. We would send money, go to the doctor. Do what you can, even if physically you yourself cannot use your hands. If you can't use your hands because of sickness or because you've got too many things on your plate, like children who are special needs or whatever it is, or you've got new babies, find the next best possible scenario, which is like what we try to do. An Adventist who will take care of your parents, and you will oversee them, and you will keep checking on them if you live in the same town and visiting them to make sure everything is running well, and they will report to you. That's what we try to do. But of course, well, not of course, but that was also spurned. It's so difficult. My dad kept saying, I'm not a baby. I'm not a baby. So we will want to do these things, but sometimes they will stop us. But, as I keep saying, God will have recorded that you tried. It's all about God. When parents permit a child to show them disrespect in childhood, allowing them to speak pettishly and even harshly, there will be a dreadful harvest to be reaped in after years. Some of these adult drug addicts, alcoholics were created in childhood. When parents fail to require prompt and perfect obedience in their children, they fail to lay the right foundation of character in their little ones. And if the foundation is rotten, the whole building, as it goes on and the bricks of years are added, it will be shaky. They prepare their children to dishonor them when they are old, and bring sorrow to their hearts when they are nearing the grave, unless the grace of Christ changes the hearts and transforms the characters of their children. Sometimes you will have done your best, as we've studied before, you will have done your best, but like God, as you saw Adam and Eve, his children, departing, they will depart. But again, God will have noted this was a parent, and Hebrew of all Hebrews, a parent of all parents, they did their part. They did not cause this. The foundation was stable. But the building material that the children chose is another story. You are building, you are living, you are planning for God. Said one of her mother, I always hated my mother, and my mother hated me. I can't imagine that. I've been hurt, terribly hurt. I've cried. But when I would hear of the mistreatment of my parents, I would cry too. I would be desperate. Who can help? One time I just had surgery the day before on my elbow, on the ulnar nerve. It had become trapped, and nerves are painful. So they had to remove it, clear away. And they phoned me to say the person who lives there, relative, of my parents wasn't there, and the parents were hungry. I wept. We had tried. This is why we had tried to get the Seventh-day Adventists to live with them. That was the reason. So this kind of woman would have said, "Oh well, it's their own mess. They got themselves into there." But love makes you cry, and you just ask, "Why are you letting this happen to you? You are suffering." It is hurtful. I can't imagine hating my mother, even if she always hated me. These words stand registered in the books of heaven to be opened and revealed in the day of judgment, when everyone shall be rewarded according to his works. Be careful of the words you say. God doesn't hate anybody. Jesus worked with Judas even though he knew what his role would be. Love suffers long. Love suffers long. If children think they were treated with severity in their childhood, will it help them to grow in grace and in the knowledge of Christ? Will it make them reflect his image, to cherish a spirit of retaliation and revenge against their parents, especially when they are old and feeble? One thing I've always done is to pray. Pray that today maybe their heart will be changed. If your parent is cruel in childhood and even maybe in your adulthood, are you praying for them to repent? When you are praying for someone, it is very difficult to hate them, unless your prayer is rain down fire so they burn. Then that's another story. But praying for them to change, praying for them to be lovable, you can but love them yourself. And what's the point? Retaliation, eye for an eye, that's Old Testament stuff. God showed us the way, the new way of loving those who are hurtful, harmful. And when some of those people are old and elderly, as she said, those who were treated with severity in childhood, now they're babies in your hands. These type of parents are kind when you're older. They're loving now that you're older. So love them back. Don't only live your life based on how they were when you were a child. If now when you're an adult, they are loving, kind, or just plain neutral. Love them. Love them properly. Love them with words and action. You know that I've not eaten meat, I've not cooked meat in, 22 years, if not 23 years. But my parents eat meat. And if you go to the house and there's nothing to eat because the person who lived there left them with no food, you will cook even that meat to show them how much you love them. You will cook the meat that they have in their fridge, not the meat you bought. So, will not the very helplessness of the parents plead for the children's love? Feel sorry for them. Some parents find it hard to apologize. Maybe in their hearts of hearts they are thinking, I was a very bad mother when this woman was a girl. You never know. Love them in their feebleness and frailty. Also, maybe you can just view them as an elderly person who needs love. All elderly people, that's why I said that even if you have an elderly person in your neighborhood, in your community, do the same thing. They're not your mother and father, but you will care for them. You'll be kind to them. Do that for these people too. How can a daughter professing the name of Christ cherish hatred against her mother, especially if that mother is sick and old? Let kindness and love, the sweetest fruits of Christian life, find a place in the heart of children towards their parents. Especially dreadful is the thought of a child turning in hatred upon a mother who has become old and feeble, upon whom has come those infirmities of disposition attendant upon sickened childhood. So really, she's saying people who are senile, who have Alzheimer's, who have dementia, that is the second childhood, where they're now losing their logic. Even more, it's even worse to hate someone who's not in their right mind. A true Christian will never be unkind, never under any circumstances be neglectful of his father or mother, but will heed the command, honor thy father and thy mother. God has said, thou shalt rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man. You will care for them. How patiently, how tenderly should children bear with such a mother. Tender words which will not irritate the spirit should be spoken. Dementia patients become extremely angry very easily. Another tip I have is, if they now are at the point where they don't remember you, please don't remind them or try and say to them, but you know I'm your daughter. Just go with the flow. It soothes them. It really does. If they say to you, that has happened, they say, you know, I really miss my daughter. And the daughter asked, but who am I then? And she said, aren't you the lovely woman who comes to visit me every day? She knew she was experiencing love from this woman who happened to be her daughter. And the daughter also knew her mom missed her. Go with the flow. It really hurts them if you start telling them, but mom, how can you not recognize me? I'm your daughter. Can't you see? It hurts them. It angers them. Arguing, don't argue with a dementia or Alzheimer's person. Go with the flow. Keep them safe. Distract them from something they want to do that they can no longer do. Gentleness is key with dementia or not with dementia. For Christ's sake, let them go down to the grave receiving from you only words of kindness, love, mercy, and forgiveness. You know how things have been with my situation. And I think in the last year, my mother, she never told me I love you ever in her whole life. She said to me, hey, do you love me? And my heart just broke. So I was thinking, Mom, do you love me? Do you care about me? Why are you saying all these things about me? If you loved me, you wouldn't lie about me, and you wouldn't tell people that I'm a waste, that I'm useless. I'm right here caring for you. Those are the thoughts that rushed through my mind when she asked, do you love me? And I thought, why can't it be, do you know that I love you? But I didn't say that. You can hold your tongue. So I just said to her, why wouldn't I love you? It is not best to establish institutions for the care of the aged, that they may be in a company together, nor should they be sent away from home to receive care. Let the members of every family minister to their own relatives. I used to think that together with the children, grandchildren who are adults would also help. It doesn't always happen that way, unfortunately. Or sometimes grandchildren will be anti-Christian. There was one who, when my father was at my mom's funeral, and I'd gone to the vestry to rest my back from sitting, and then he followed in the wheelchair. And my father said, I need to go back. And then I left and came back and sat down. And my father said he needs to go back inside. And this person, young relative, said to him, please, all funerals are the same. This is of my father's wife. And he's being told, all funerals are the same. You've heard them all before, please. We don't do that, friends. Even if we don't believe the way they believe, we honor and respect them. And honor and respect would be, all right, Grandpa, Uncle, I will take you in so that you can listen to the rest of the service. That's love and respect. Well, that's actually far away from the institutions. So that's how it is meant to be. Everybody who's a relative should help. And that's what I once asked another relative who's able to help. That why can't we all help together? Then it's not only just on me, on my shoulders, but That's the plan. It should be everyone helping, everybody, grandchildren too. We should all be working together, all of us who are able. And when this is not possible, the work belongs to the church, which is what we try to do. The work belongs to the church, and it should be accepted both as a duty and as a privilege. Any old person, we should be. How can we help you? Do you live alone? What can we do? What can we do? How can we help take care of this person? She has no family, or her family is too far away. What can we do? Not put them in an old age home. All who have Christ's Spirit will regard the feeble and aged with special respect and tenderness. Of course, what my parents' friend told them was, you both have sicknesses and diseases that need doctors 24/7. So that's the other thing. We aren't doctors 24/7. So you know that God knows what is behind your reasoning. If you do, and if we had been able to get my parents into proper care, where nobody will leave them alone overnight, and where they'll be reminded to take their medication, we would have visited. We wouldn't leave them there. And I know that my church, certain church people who had visited them at home, would have followed them, our friends, and visited them in the old age home. Make sure also that the church, those people were from my church, not my parents' church, but they visited. And our church members visited, and some did also add to the food that was being taken by other people from my parents' home that we were giving. I wonder if all churches do that. I thank God for those church members who took care of my parents. I really do. Okay, right now there'll be noise. That's the bath being run for the children. It's the final paragraph. We'll just power through. The thought that children have ministered to the comfort of their parents is a thought of satisfaction all through the life, and will especially bring them joy when they themselves are in need of sympathy and love. For me, it's a feeling of no regrets. It's knowing that God knew what was happening. God knew what was in my heart, but I worked, even though my heart was hurting, I acted as if I didn't feel. That is what it is for me. They knew I cared. They knew till the last day. And that's all you can do at the end of the day. Those whose hearts are filled with love will regard the privilege of smoothing the passage to the grave for their parents an inestimable privilege. How blessed are the families. There's one lady at Tableview Church who, her sibling and her, they're working together for the goal. One is not hindering the other from helping. They're working together. What a blessing it is to be those parents. And what a blessing it is to be that group of siblings where you work together for your parents' comfort, where you work together to give, not one to take while the other gives. What a blessing. They will rejoice that they had a part in bringing comfort and peace to the last days of their loved parents. They will. Even when people would say, don't keep going. I went until the last times when I was now really sick, and my dad never stopped saying, even if he said other things, he never stopped telling people, we really have been given a rose. Refilo Rose, that was his mother's name, Rose. We've been given a rose, a treasure. Wouldn't you love for your parents to know that and think that? To do otherwise than this, to deny to the helpless aged ones the kindly ministrations of sons and daughters, would fill the soul with remorse. I wonder if some do feel remorse. I have no clue. I don't know. So to do otherwise than this, to deny to the helpless aged ones the kindly ministrations of sons and daughters, would fill the soul with remorse, the days with regret, if our hearts were not hardened and cold as a stone. So if we have no conscience and have no hearts, there will be no regret. There will be no sorrow. There will be, I should have, I could have. Let us pray that God will give us a heart of flesh so that we'll be touched by the suffering of our parents and do what we can to help them. Respectfully, not returning eye for an eye, if they're that kind of parent, doing what we can to help. Suggesting where we can, even if we know our suggestions won't be taken up. We worked together with my church people, and I will forever be grateful for the things they did, the visits they paid even without us there. They have good memories, and I'm happy for them. They weren't disappointments. So, yeah, they've got good memories. And so for them, they were blessed by ministering to an aged person. I hope that you too, if you are in contact with one or you see them, I hope or know them, I know that you too will be blessed in ministering to an aged person. Be it now in the memories you will have, or by God. God bless us all, and I pray that when we reach that stage, if we haven't reached it already, that our children, I don't know which children of mine, because they all need care except for two, but I hope that our children will be what this chapter tells them to be. I will see you next time.